In Gotham City, people are watching a big hockey game between the Metropolis Mammoths and the Gotham Blades. In Arkham Asylum, some patients are watching too. In the last minute of the game, a woman figures out something bad is going to happen. She gets really upset, and starts talking about someone getting killed. The staff tries to calm her down, but she continues to yell about her friends dying, Superman not helping, and nobody being able to save them. Meanwhile, Batman is busy on his Batcomputer, checking the news, and studying a mysterious button he found. While he's focused on the button, he hears about a fight during the hockey finals between the team centers. The Gotham Center ends up beating the Metropolis Center pretty badly. Batman doesn't learn much from this distraction, and casually tosses the button onto a desk, near Psycho Pirate's mask. When the button touches the mask, a spark of electricity jumps between them. Batman doesn't pay much attention, until the button suddenly shoots lightning at him, knocking him down. When he gets up, he sees a version of his dad from the Flashpoint universe. But before he can reach out to him, his dad disappears. It's all very confusing for Batman. Bruce quickly calls Flash to update him, but Flash is too busy fighting Samuroids to talk properly. He promises to finish up and be at the Batcave in a minute. Bruce hangs up, counting down the seconds until Flash arrives. Suddenly, he hears thunder, thinking Flash is early. But when he turns around, it's not Flash but the Reverse Flash, who hits him hard. As Bruce tries to recover, Thawne tells him he should be dead, but something brought him back. With 50 seconds left, Bruce tries to fight back, but Thawne phases to dodge him, finding it amusing that Batman still tries. In just 48 seconds, Thawne hurts Batman, then pauses to see if he's still alive. But Batman spits blood at him, showing he's still strong. Thawne, finding Batman's resistance entertaining, throws him into a display case, holding a letter from Thomas given to him by Barry. With 38 seconds left, Thawne notices the letter and takes 5 seconds to read it, thinking about Thomas's last actions. Then, he tears the letter apart in front of Bruce. At 28 seconds, Bruce orders Thawne to leave, but Thawne shifts his form to avoid him. Batman reminds him that he can't stay intangible, without something solid to hold on to. Confused, Thawne hesitates, allowing Batman to jab a batarang into his foot. With 22 seconds left, Batman attacks, but Thawne knocks him back with a sonic boom, and goes through the batarang. At 15 seconds, Bruce insists that Thawne go, but Thawne says he can't be beaten. Batman doesn't care about winning. He just needs to hold out for 11 more seconds until Flash arrives. The two keep fighting. Bruce manages to land a few hits, but Thawne ends up winning. However, Bruce held out long enough for the 1 minute to pass. But Barry, always running late, doesn't show up. So even though he's beaten, Batman insists on overtime, just as Thawne lands the final blow. Thawne, satisfied with his win, notices the button and the pictures on the Batcomputer screens. Realizing their importance, he grabs the button to examine it, and suddenly, a bright light teleports him away. Moments later, Thawne reappears, badly burned. He claims to have seen something incredible, like God, before collapsing. Soon after, Thunder announces Barry's arrival in the Batcave. He's sorry for being late, explaining he tried to save the hockey player beaten earlier, but he didn't make it. As he finishes talking, he sees Bruce, beaten, and the bones of Reverse Flash on the floor. In the Flashpoint timeline, Aquaman and Wonder Woman are fighting a big war. Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's father, thinks back to how everything began for him. He remembers when his son died. He remembers the war spreading everywhere. Then, the Flash shows up and tells him something shocking. The Flash says that the world Thomas knows isn't real. He made a mistake while trying to save his own mother's life. The Flash says, Bruce was supposed to live instead of dying in that alley. Learning this, gives Thomas hope for the first time since Bruce died. He trusts the Flash to fix everything so Bruce can live. Even though the Flash tried to fix things, something kept it going. Thomas remembers his days as a doctor. When patients couldn't be saved, he'd let them go peacefully, instead of extending their suffering. He realizes the war kept raging, causing more deaths. Thomas feels guilty for believing he could save Bruce. Now, Batman's enemies are coming for him. Wonder Woman and Aquaman, who don't usually agree, have teamed up and sent their soldiers to take him down. Thomas remembers how 2 bullets took him and Martha away from Bruce in the original timeline. With a dead man's switch in hand, he plans to join them and be with his son again. As Thomas gets ready to blow up the Batcave, suddenly there's a bright light and a loud noise. Bruce and Barry arrive in Flashpoint. Thomas walks up to Bruce, who's shocked to see his dad alive. Thomas sees Bruce and is confused. He thinks it might be a trick, but Flash tells him it's not a trick. Bruce is really his son, and tries to hit Barry. When he explains what's happening, Barry speeds away, and tells Thomas and Bruce that despite him fixing Flashpoint months ago, something's still keeping the timeline messed up. They're trying to find out who's behind it, but ended up there instead. Barry tells both Batman that despite the weirdness their meeting is real. He scans the world's vibrations and finds something odd. Even though they're in a different history, it's still their own timeline. Barry thinks Flashpoint is being kept intact by someone, like the other pieces of history they've seen. While Thomas tries to connect with Bruce, Barry starts fixing the cosmic treadmill. When Barry explains his plan, Thomas knows they're short on time. Barry says it'll be quick, but Thomas disagrees. They can't afford even a minute. When asked why, Atlantean and Amazon soldiers storm the cave to kill them. Thomas tells them to leave and readies his gun, but Bruce stops him, insisting they leave together. Thomas only wants Barry and Bruce to escape. As Barry collects treadmill parts, Bruce and Thomas gear up to fight. Bruce asks about the cave's security, but Thomas admits he never planned for intruders. Martha usually handled that. With no other option, they decide to fight barehanded. Bruce wants answers about the letter Barry brought, but Thomas says they'll talk later. It's time to fight. As they finish off the attackers, Barry fixes the treadmill. Bruce defeats the last Atlantean, and he and Thomas recall their time in the cave. Thomas asks if Bruce remembers what he said to him back then, and Bruce admits he barely does. Thomas was whispering so as not to scare the bats. Finally feeling comfortable, Bruce calls Thomas Dad. Meanwhile, Barry gets ready to power up the treadmill. Suddenly, Flashpoint starts falling apart. Barry realizes whatever was keeping it alive is letting go. Bruce tells his father that the letter he sent was the best gift ever. He knew he couldn't reply, but if he could, he'd tell him one thing: he has a grandson. Barry yelled that the treadmill is charging up, and it'll leave, whether they're on it or not. Bruce tries to convince Thomas to come with him, but Thomas pushes him onto the treadmill. Barry holds Bruce back as the machine charges up. Wayne Manor starts vanishing, and Thomas tells Barry to save his son. Barry insists Thomas should come too, but he refuses. Before they leave, Thomas tells Bruce he was his whole world. He knew every choice he made was right, because they led to Bruce. He calls Bruce the greatest gift life gave him, and advises him not to be Batman, to find happiness, and be a father. He asks Bruce to let Batman end with him. Bruce begs to save him, but Thomas believes they already have. He smashes his detonator as Wayne Manor fades away. Putting on his mask, Thomas remembers whispering to Bruce in the Batcave, to remember that Waynes always rise. With that, Thomas charges into the void, and Flashpoint disappears forever. As they travel through time, Bruce tries to find a way back, but Barry tells him there's nothing to return to. Flashpoint is gone, and time itself seems to be crumbling. Barry doesn't understand why the button led them there, but they can't stop moving now. Batman wonders why they were sent to Flashpoint just to see it destroyed. Barry thinks whoever's messing with time sent them there to hurt them. Suddenly, Reverse Flash speeds by, still holding the button. Batman notices it's Thawne right before he dies. Barry realizes they somehow went back in time, and ended up where Thawne was. He tries to warn Thawne, but Thawne says he already knows the button's power source. Thawne races ahead, proudly declaring that they've never gone up against someone like me before.